Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Diane Deziel, and today I will do with you the finishing of the coat project. We'll do the button, the buttonhole, and the invisible hem. We're going to start with the placement of the button and the buttonhole. Here it's important because it's a double breast, so you don't have the same thing to do on both sides of the garment. This is the left side since it's a women's coat. On the left side you're going to have the button, which I put in white circle for you to see better. So you're gonna put the 4th button on the 2nd line of the button, and on the 1st line you only have to do 1 buttonhole on top. Now on the right side you have to do on the 2nd line of button all the indication for the button, and on the 1st line you have to do all the buttonholes. Now to make them on your garment, you have to make sure that you fold your seam allowance on the front and at the neck, because your garment is already sewn, so make sure you fold them both. Align your pattern, and then you could mark for the buttonhole the center line that you did on your pattern. So it's about 3 millimeters before the beginning of the buttonhole. So you just mark that dot for all of them, and the center of the button for all the 2nd line. To mark them, you could use a fabric pencil, or I'm using just a color pencil. Now after you finish marking, you could do your buttonhole, which I already did, and I'm going to show you now how to do the button. For coat and heavy fabric, I really think that the shank button are the best because they give a little space between the 2 layers of the fabric. If not, I will show you how to put your normal button with the space between. Now to sew your button, you could use much stronger thread if you have, but sometimes we don't have it in all color. If you have a chance to get these one for your button, it's going to be more stable for sure. If not, like me, you have your normal thread, I suggest you just double it. And to make your knot strong and thicker, I suggest you do your knot, but don't pull it all out. So if you leave it like that, it's going to be much thicker and of course more stable. You could go by the under and have your little knot showing on the other side, or you could just put your knot on the right side of the fabric, because remember you're gonna have your button covering it. I think it's the best way to hide it. Go through all the layer at your dot and make a few stitches like that before starting to put your button, 1 or 2. And then you could start sewing your button. So shank button, you have to go 1 side at a time and then go through again. Then you look at the hole and again you go through, and then down in the fabric, usually you be able to pull it out just like that and go through maybe 5 times. Then to finish, do it on the wrong side. So I'm going through my thread and then through the loop that I create. Pull and do a few like that. And to make sure you're not going to see the end of your thread, just go between the 2 layers of fabric with your needle, pull it out, and do it again. Go in between the 2 layers and go out. Then you could cut. Now if you don't have shank button, I suggest you start it the same way. So make your knot, but don't pull it all out so it's stronger like that. Start the same way. Then you're going to place your button the same direction as your buttonhole, so just like that over. Start putting your needle through 1 hole and then the 2nd one. Then put it on your garment just a little bit further than the middle hole. Come back on the other side, pretty much the distance you have between your hole. Then you could pull, But before putting it right next to the garment, just use a toothpick and put it under your button. So it's going to create the perfect distance, just like a shank button. And you could continue your sewing. Go through the buttonhole towards the top and then down and again on the side at least 5 times. So when you're done, bring your needle back on the front side, but before the button, not inside the hole. You could remove the toothpick and just pull the button up and just go around with the thread to create a little tail. Then you could go back down inside and do the finishing just like we did before, at least 2 times going through the loop. Then you go between the 2 layers, out, and between the 2 layers, out. Then you could cut. Et voila, now you have the 2 ways to sew your button on. Now you could see the result. You have a space between the button and the fabric for both the shank button and the 2 holes button. When you're ready to cut your buttonhole, you could just use your thread cutter and just put it in on one side and pull. And if you're scared to go too far, just stop in the middle, turn it around, and start on the other side. Et voila! You have quite a few buttons to do, 4 on the right side, plus 1 inside on top, just where you put the top button, but inside here, and use a flat button this time, using your stitch as the reference. Then on the left side you have your 4 buttons on the second line, plus you're going to put button on your sleeve because we do have a little opening or a little slit here. So you have the choice how many buttons you want to place. You also have the choice of the size. You could put the same size as your front or a little bit smaller. The bottom one should be pretty much at the level of your hem, the finishing of the hem. Now also what's up to you, it's to do a buttonhole or not, but if you decide to make a buttonhole, it looks good, do not cut it. It's a fake buttonhole, just decoration, and you sew your button right over through all the layers. Now for the hem, you're going to lift your lining for sure. Then you're going to start on one side. I don't want to say left side, right side. I'll just show you the movement or the way your thread is going to go, and you decide if you start on the right or on the left. For this example, I use a big thread, white, just for you to see better. And I'm going to do the knot at the beginning, just like before. So you could even do normal one at the beginning, and one that you keep the loop for the second one. So it's going to stay, and you could just hide the knot behind your finishing and come back on top. Now to do the stitch, the invisible stitch, you're going to go in the fabric on the garment, just over your finishing, pulling 1 thread of the fabric. It's going to do a little cross because now I'm continuing on my hem. You could do the second one at the bottom, so just on the hem, just like that. And again the thread is going towards my left, pull, and it's going to make another little cross because I'm continuing towards the right. Again, just 1 thread of the fabric. Then at the bottom, you could take a little more when you're at the bottom, and you do it very close to the edge of your finishing. It always makes a little cross. It's going to give you movement to your seam. Now you'll be able to see just over my finishing, but on the garment, 1 thread, the bottom, and again on top, 1 thread. The distance between the stitch, I'm doing about 6 or 7 millimeters. Now I have a few stitches done. I'm going to show you that it's holding just like that. And let's take a look at the other side. Nothing show. That's what we call an invisible hem, but done by hand. That's it for today. I hope the video will be helpful. Thanks for being there, and I see you next time.